Hi, today I want to talk to you about 8 money management rules for families. So thanks for watching. My name is Remie Longbrake. So glad to have you. Basically why I wanted to do this is part of my business with Prosper Pathways is to help families with finances and find solutions that fit their specific needs. And the topics I am talking today are certainly great concepts that everybody needs to consider to be successful in money management. So, of course, there's a lot of pain points and finances, and unfortunately, it has a habit of breaking families down. Unfortunately, even in my own personal life, I've seen it from family. I've had experienced those same situations and pains myself on a personal level. Close family, extended family, I mean friends, neighbors. So it's a common theme. And that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do, is so essentially I can reach out and help more people. So and this is why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you today. So let's get to it. So the first thing I want to talk to you about, which is really important and something I personally do, as we all should, is preparing a budget. And why exactly do we want to do that? Well, essentially, with a budget, that's going to help us understand, where our finances are at. Things that you should really look into is, what are all your expenses, and save your receipts if you're not sure, and look through the last 2 to 3 months, to get an idea. Because what you want to try to do is you want to plan ahead for this month, and next month hopefully, to get an idea of what your average bills would be, whether it's your utilities, electric, obviously, gas if you have that, all your car payments, loans if you own your own home, or if you rent. I mean, take all that stuff in consideration because it's really important, and write it down. Just get a simple spreadsheet. You can get a pen and paper, or if you want to get more specific, you can do it on the computer. There's all kinds of resources and forms that a person, a family can access. And of course, if you need help, with trying to find something for you, by all means, contact me, and I'm happy to help you with that. But essentially, what you want to do is, log your expenses, and not only that, your expenses, but you also want to log, what the incoming amount is, what the paychecks are bringing in too. Because what you want to do is evaluate, between the expenses and the income, and hopefully you have some left. And what you have left, you try to decide what you want to do with it. So that's why a budget is so important. Also, too, is what I would recommend. No matter how big the family is have like a monthly board meeting. That talks about the financials. Just like a business would. I mean, because a family is just as important. It's your livelihood. So you all need to have a clear grasp of what's going on. And if you have kids, I know, understand, things pop up, whether it's school activities, sports, whatnot. Even on between your spouse and yourself, there's things gonna come up. I mean, business trips. You name it. I mean, anything can happen that you don't necessarily expect. But if you do know it's going to be, upcoming, and say, 2 months you're going to be out of town for whatnot, try to plan ahead. Write that stuff down and say, hey, you probably need to save a little bit extra, because we have this. Basically, you don't want to be surprised is the biggest giveaway from that. And ask your kids as well. What are some of their activities? Just ask them. Sunday night, or when they get home from school, to say, hey, is there anything going on at school today? Or upcoming that we should know about? Because you won't always get that information until like the last second. You're like, oh, here's another $60. So. And it stresses you out, and then it also stresses the kids out, because then they feel bad for coming to you. So if you just try to get an action and plan ahead, that can really go a long way to kind of ease tension in the household. So it's definitely something I would recommend. So another thing I would also recommend that's kind of related is, try to set some cost saving ideas. So essentially, between your spouse, yourself, family, try to come up with ways to save money for the household. I mean, you go out any Friday night, Saturday night. I mean, all the restaurants, everything is just packed. And there's nothing wrong with that. But how often are those folks doing that? Is it a weekly thing? I mean, that's great for the business, and the livelihood of the employees there. But in the day, is it best what's good for you and your family? So you need to really understand, the entertainment type value, especially of what's going out the door. I mean, certainly, if you have a habit of going, to dinner and then going out to see a movie. I mean, if you have a family, if it's just you two, or if you have family and kids. I mean, between all that, it could be well over $100. If you do that 2-3 times a month, that's several $100. That could be going to other ventures that are more beneficial to your long-term, financial strategy. So that is important to consider. So, and it is also important to get the kids involved too, and help them understand that money is a valuable concept, and by all means, if you want to give an allowance, then that's certainly up to you. Just help show them value of money on incoming type level, and going out as well. So really do wonders as they grow up. So another thing I would recommend for the next step is review your retirement strategies. So essentially, no matter where you're at or how much you have saved, hopefully you have some. It just all depends where you're at in life. Is develop a strategy. Sit down with your spouse, or if you have a 401k at work, or whatever you have, understand what you have, understand your strategy, where you're at in your current situation, and also your long-term strategy. Where do you want to be when you retire? What age do you want to retire? What things do you want to have in life upon retirement? So those are long-term things. Yes, I mean, for some people they may be out 20, 30 years, but those are things that a person in a family really needs to look at now and plan for, because you have your compounding interest. The more you save right now, the more time you has allowed to invest and grow. Therefore, you have more money. So that's really, really important, to be able to look at that. So, next thing also too, I get going to more of the expenses is review your home mortgage and your other cost that you're spending on. That could be, obviously home tends to be the most expensive bill that a person would have, so to speak. And you don't always have to own a home. I mean, just the rental prices alone tend to be very high. So no matter where you're at, is this the best deal? I mean, is this the best deal for your family, where you're at now? I mean, I'm not saying you have to move, but you all have to consider that in consideration. How much money is going out the door? If you're looking to invest, in a bigger place, look at the options. Look at the community. Look at interest rates, housing prices. If you want to be close to family, I mean, that's all great things. But at the end of the day, have to consider the long-term needs. And if you are in a rental property, or if you own a house, that's wonderful. Congratulations, by all means. But still, you want to look at the cost, of the loan, especially if you own a home, and make sure you're getting the best rate. And that's something that you need to really consider now, and at least on a yearly basis. I mean, because interest rates change. I mean, deals could change. Bank rates, can change. So there's a lot of variables. And I'm not saying you have to jump ship every year, and it's best that you don't, to be honest, especially with the home environment. But at least understand what you're spending in fees and interest rates, and just kind of be prepared to look, for other deals, possibilities as they come up. And that certainly goes for other savings and expenses as well. Just kind of look at the interest rates and what's going out the door. That's really important. So hopefully you understand that. So, excuse me. So the next thing is basically you want to try to pay down all of your debts. So, I mean, especially credit card debt is extremely high these days. I mean, it's really sad and unfortunate to see so many people and families, really struggle with debt. Um, credit card debt especially, just the interest rates are really high. And just like I was talking about on the retirement end, where your money can grow. Well, that's also true for credit card type debt too. Is you know on the negative end though, there's interest on that as well, and that's going to grow generally a lot faster than what your savings rate is. So it's really keen to really control those costs as much as you can, and try not to have a balance. Um, if you can help it, and if you do have a balance that goes month to month, try to do all your best to get that down, and try to come up with ways to really cut down the credit card debt especially. Of course, the other type of debts, are student loans. I mean, student loans are, I think they actually outpace the credit card debt at this point. And typically that's a good investment for people. It isn't always, but long-term strategy. I mean, it makes sense for many people, many families to be able to do that. But again, you can always look at, when you take on a loan, look at the interest rate and understand, what you're looking for, and how much money that you expect to earn, and when it's going to be due. Generally there's like a 6-month grace period after graduation. But once you are graduated, you have to start paying that, and you need to be keen to look at interest rates to make sure that you can afford that long term. And always you want to look to to look at the interest rates itself to make sure that it makes sense and that you're able to save money if it makes sense to you. And if you're looking to change that's fine, but make sure you consider all the costs involved. Just because the interest rate is maybe a little lower, by the time you add fees and other expenses, it may not really be worth it. So, and that's true on just loans in general, whether it's cars, schools, home, credit cards, that's all very practical knowledge to have. So, another thing you want to do is look at your protection type needs, and that would be mostly like your insurance. So, I mean, I am primarily in the insurance type field, and I mean that's one thing that I see a lot of people don't really have. Or if they do, they don't understand how much they need, and what it's going to take, to replace the income of a spouse if they would pass or become disabled. It takes a lot of money, and I realized a lot of families, both spouses work, so if one can't work, if something happens, then you need to still have that income to be able to protect the family and to have that lifestyle. Otherwise, you're not going to have that lifestyle. So it's really important to understand that, and it's not something easy. You can't just come up with a number. I mean, you can, but it's not necessarily an easy process just to say, hey, this is how much I'll need. There's a calculation involved, and it looks at your financial background and your spouse's financial background, and understand what those needs are. Not just today, but usually at least till the kids graduate from school, or if they want to go to college, all that stuff is considered. And of course retirement, and what the retirement goals would be, retirement age. So there's a lot of different variables in play that helps determine what protection that you would need. And that's just on the health side. I mean, you also want to consider the protection of your home assets as well. I mean, and that's, whether it's your car insurance, your home, the structure, the property, all the contents in it. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider for that. So then there's liability coverage as well. So there's a lot of variables. So, and then the last thing here would be preparing a will. So this kind of related to the protection side is, if that one of the spouses do pass away, it's really important to get a will down, and keep it updated. We've seen many times where the will wasn't updated, and then it becomes a whole ordeal through the court system. Family members get involved, get discouraged. I mean, it can get quite ugly, unfortunately. Not to put it lightly. So please, get a will by all means. Put that stuff down. I mean, it's not difficult to do. And it's extremely important, especially those with kids. So we don't want to see anything bad happen like that affects them. Like any more than it would at that point. So those are my tips for today. So hopefully that really helps and puts some value, get you thinking more than anything else. So I'm happy to take the discussion further. If you all would like more information, please reach out to me. So I'm happy to help you. And if there's anything else, I look forward to talking to you at the next time. All right, thank you so much. Take care.